folks. I want to do a quick tutorial and help you with one of the homework problems that can be kind of challenging in section 1.2. This is currently problem 22. I'm not going to promise you that it's your 22, but if you'll notice over here top left, they want us to graph x to the third, and then separately, but in the same xy axis, graph x to the third minus 6. Now, the first thing you need to do is graph this on paper by hand, honestly. I know it takes time, but it's easier to see what it looks like on paper before you try to use the graphing tool in my lab math. And so if you graph x to the third on paper by just plotting points, say for instance -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 into x to the third, then you're going to get this S-shaped graph that when you look across the bottom, it's this fourth tool over, the one that looks like it's a mountain and then a valley. So I'm going to click, I have to double click it to get it to indent and show up. That's the tool we're using. Notice on that tool they want us to plot 4 points. So that's what I'm going to do. It can be any 4 points that make this function true. So when I plug in -2 to the third, that gives me -8. So the first point I'm going to plot is -2, -8. Okay, so I go over -2 and down -8, and I'm going to be super careful about it because it's easy for the points to move around. I'm struggling with a tool a little bit sometimes. The next point I'm going to plug in is -1. -1 to the third is also -1. So my next point is going to be at -1, -1. See, there it is. Now I need 4 points to use this tool. So the next point I'm going to plug in is, you can plug in 0 and get 0, but I wanted a point further away, so I plugged in 1. And when you do 1 to the third, you get 1. So I'm going to plot the point 1, 1, which is right there. And then the last point I'm going to plug in is 2. 2 to the third is 8. So at the point 2, I'm going to go up to 8. And look how it moves around whenever I try to touch it. So 2, 8. And I want to be real sure those are right before I move on to the next one. So again, -2, -8, that looks correct. -1, -1, it does go through 0, 0, then, oh, I didn't plot that point. And then 1, 1, and then 2, 8. So I feel good about f of x. Now let's do the same thing for g of x. You don't have to pick the same numbers to plug in, but it might make it easier. So -2 to the third is -8. -8 minus 6 is -14. Now to do this again, I have to click this tool again. Okay, so now it's for the second graph. I'm going to plot -2, -14, and that is that point right there. Okay. Next point, plugged in -1 to the third is -1 minus 6 is -7. So the next point I want to graph is -1, -7. Going to plug in 1 to the third is 1 minus 6 is -5. So I want to plot the point 1, -5. And then finally plug in 2 to the third is 8. 8 minus 6 is 2. So I'm going to plot the point 2, 2. There. Now I want to be certain about my graphs. There's got to be a way to make this big so I can see it better. I just don't see that, and my time's running out. I only have 5 minutes or less to make this video, so I'm doing it as quickly as I can. But everything looks okay to me. So 0, 0, 0, -6. So 0, 0 is on the first graph, 0, -6 is on the second graph. If I check a second point, 1, 1 is on the first graph, 1, -5 is on the second graph. So 1, 1, and then I'm checking the yellow graph for 1, -5. Yes, that looks right to me. I always check a few points just to be sure, because I tried this just a minute ago, and my lines started moving around, not like I wanted them to. So I was doing something weird with that graphing tool. But let me check this, and then it's going to ask me a second question. So let's check it. Great. Okay, I had a slight problem because I had this open in 2 different windows, but I've got it fixed, and it was the graph we talked about. Using that tool can just be a little bit nerve-wracking. I've had to erase and go back and do it several times. Just check your points clearly. Push OK. It's going to ask me a second question, like what happened. When I compare these two graphs, look, they look identical. The second one is just down 6 compared to the first one, and that's what that -6 does. So when I check my choices here, the graph is, the graph, see, the first one, the